Ashama akkam jirtan kabajamtoota hordoftoota daawwattoota televezyiinii ONN akkasumas Gaaddisa Dhugaa fi Sagalee Bilisummaa Oromoo har'a magaalaa Finfinnee keessatti Koongirens maanonni Ameerikaa lamaa fi ambaasaaddarri Ameerikaa Finfinneetti argamu miidhamtoota yookaan Oromoota miidhaan adda addaa mootummaa EPRDF'n irra ga'e dubbisuudhaaf yookaan raga bahiinsa isaan irraa dhaga'uudhaaf as magaalaa Finfinnee hoteela Sharaatanitti argamanii jiru. Egaa qophiin hoteela Sharaatanitti qophaa'e kun maal fakkaata kanuma waliin daawwannu ta'a garasumatti haa deemnu galatooma nu faana tura.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sena. A lot of you guys know me. And I'll just briefly introduce a little bit our guest, introduce myself, and then kind of go over with the program, and then we'll go on from there. As I say, my name is Sena. To my right is Chairman Smith. You guys know him very well. He has done an amazing job. And actually, sorry about that. I'll come back to introduction. Next to him is actually ranking member, Karen Bass from California. You guys also might have seen her from the hearing. And to her right is our ambassador. I'm terribly sorry I did not get the name. Okay, and so everybody that you see here represent an organization. Big part, some of them represent an umbrella organization of 32 and about 18. And some of them are just respected individuals and religious leaders, such as the Bagada. And I myself represent the Coalition of Oromo Advocates for Human Rights. We testified in Congress. You might remember me from that. And so I'll be introducing Chairman Smith, and then I'll give to my colleague, Lami, who represent Oromo Advocacy Alliance, another advocacy alliance, Oromo Advocacy Group. So just to give you a little bit background on Chairman Smith. Chairman Smith is a congressman from 4th District in New Jersey. He is the chair of House Foreign Affairs on African Subcommittee. He has been serving since 1981 as a Republican. He has been a voice for Ethiopian people for many, many years, long before the House resolution. He has met a lot of Ethiopian leaders, including the former Prime Minister and obviously the current one too. In addition to introducing the recent legislation, he has introduced numerous legislation to bring democracy to Ethiopia. Mr. Smith is one of the very few congressional leaders who have called many Ethiopian leaders, such as the Meles, by its name, calling them like abomination. He has stood with the Ethiopian people, speaking up against gross human rights violation in Ethiopia, that he did not turn his face away and not cover his ear. So this is Mr. Smith to my right. Please say welcome for me. And then we'll introduce Ms. Bass, and then we'll give you guys to kind of say a few things, whatever you guys want to say, and then we'll just go ahead and kind of introduce a few people. We have about 4 people who will give us a little background on Oromo, on Geda, and then we do have a testimony from some of the prisoners who has been, and then the plan is that they will walk around and they will interact. You guys will ask them a question if you have a question. If you guys just want to know, I don't know, whatever you want to know, or they will also ask you guys.
Thank you, Sena. Sena Galatomi. Keessummoota kabajamtoota ta'innan baga nagaan dhuftanii guyyaa kana hirmaannaa keessan baay'eetti gammanneerra. Our distinguished guests, members of Congress, Ambassador, thank you for joining us and making this day possible. As you can see, the community is thrilled to have you guys champion some of the work, the groundwork that has led to their freedom and their participation here today. So they're very grateful, and as is the diaspora back in the States. We're really grateful for your work, for your cooperation and coordination with us in helping us set things down for this country to transition. And also for our guests, we really appreciate your support and your sacrifice, which has made it possible for us to do the work. Your sacrifice is what inspired us in the diaspora to be able to bring these members of Congress who have been your advocates and have made it possible for us to be here today so that we can have some time for you guys to ask you questions, any concerns that you may want to address. So thank you all for being here. I'll keep it brief. Members, if you guys would like to say anything, mic is yours, the floor is yours. Other than that, this is a town hall, and we're going to open it up to you here in the crowd to go ahead and ask any questions that you may have and concerns that you may want to address. So once again, this is your event. You made it possible, and your sacrifice is really why we are here. So please use this platform to be able to project all your concerns and show the potential of what our community is capable of, and also going forth for those that aren't here that may be watching and following to continue to inspire them.
And I'm told there's four questions already out there.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have 4 questions that we have received. And how many speakers do we have?
Roughly. So after you guys introduce yourself, we'll have you guys. Do you have anything else you want to say, or you want to hear from them? Okay. So the first one I want to just to quickly point out is our Abba Gada. Abba Gada is the supreme leader of the Gada system, and he's sitting right there, and he does not speak English. Somebody will translate for him. If he wants to say something, he would. He's represented the Gada system, and then second person who represents is the Giant Ulama Association. It's a big organization, was banned for a very long time. They recently, I think they just, if I'm not mistaken, this week is when they got permitted to come here. And at Baghdad, Giant Ulama is represented by a gentleman over there. I'm terribly sorry because I have a Obodribe.
I'm sorry,
And forgive me, I'm a little bit nervous. That's why I'm terribly messing up. Okay, and then Shifara is chairperson for Freedom and Justice Society. Shifara, okay, he's back there. It's a newly organization that is their members are just prisoners who been in prison, some of them 20 plus years, and he leads the organization. And Tolosa Kishe, he's a board member of Oromo Indigenous Religion. I don't know if it is right there. Oromo Indigenous Religion is one of the religion among the from the second Muslim Christian and then the Ifannam. Gamachu Turune is representative for Education for Development Association. Gamachu is back there, okay. Almayud Iro is the chair of Oromo Studies Association of Oromia. Alamayo somewhere. Okay, you guys just raise your hand. Thank you. Muhata Shane is the chair of Oromo Film and Theatre Association. Muhata, I guess he didn't come. And Dejanit Afa is the secretary of Oromo Federalist Congress. He is one of the well-known prominent people we campaign about when he was arrested, obviously, with Mr. Garba, who was here. And Tolera Ababa, head of the delegation for Oromo Liberation Front, is one of the Oromo political party. And I don't know if he's replaced. Okay, I hope he's represented, okay. And Darara is the chair of Oromo Democratic Front. Darara, okay. You're not the chair, okay. So he's the delegation that they got sent. And there are a few people, I don't know if you want to introduce the remaining group. Go to the question, okay. So you guys can introduce yourself if I didn't call. And so the follow-up question is the one person.
Just before we move on any further, I just also want to highlight all the youth that are present here today. They spearheaded this protest peacefully, and it was nonviolent, and made it really a pivotal transitioning point that we are now going through, and most of it is their work. And let's not forget to highlight their sacrifice as well. And the work that we are going to be doing from here on is to honor those demands that you guys have requested as part of your movement that inspired many, and including the Prime Minister, who's full of youthful enthusiasm himself. So we're here to be advocates for you, and please speak up and ask any questions that you may have. This is your time.
Okay, so I won't even go with the program. So anybody have a question for our guest? Anybody want to say something? Do you guys want to talk? I know if nobody say, Kafalo is one of the prisoners that he will be very happy and ready to tell you a story about what happened to him in prison. He's a prime example of some of the many Oromo prisoners that he experienced under the current regime. And I can just give it to him, and after that you guys can ask.
Thank you
for the opportunity.
Okay. Motuma America bakuwani kabajomu baye galatoma ya akas.
Thank you for being here representing the US government.
Kabajomto abagada kabajomto hayota Kenya akasmas saboli Kenya aboti kapso baye kabajama ya.
Abagadas guests and everyone here. Thank you for being here.
Okay. Ani Kafalo Tafarra jedhama.
My name is Kafalo Tafarra.
Barata University waggaa sadaffaa ture.
I was a third-year university student.
Achi booda manni barumsaa cufamee gara maatii kiyyaatu jiru waraanni mootummaa na eeggate.
After that, I was visiting my family during a break, and that's when the army came and took me.
Waraana nurratti bananii nama sadii battalumatti achumatti du'anii.
Opened fire on us, and 3 people were killed on the spot.
Nam sadii achitti du'anii ani madaa'ee hospitaala galee
I was wounded and taken to a hospital.
Hospitaala galee booda luka kiyya tokko baay'ee miidhamee ture inni kun baay'ee fayyaa ture.
One of my leg was injured, but the other one was perfectly fine.
Achi booda isa fayyaa kana sadii kutanii gajjallaa koronyoorratti xiqqoo madaa'ee ture.
So they operated on my leg, the one that is perfectly fine, 3 times.
Achi booda isa kanas dabalanii kutanii si afur kutanii
cut my other leg, the one that was injured.
Hammi kun waggaa ta'u ji'a tokkoof torbee sadii keessatti maatii kiyya naasofsiisne.
When this was happening for a month and 3 weeks, I did not have access to my family members or anyone else.
Nam tokko nan argine bakka addaa ture ani eeyyamne.
I was kept in a separate cell or place.
Achi booda utuu madaan narraan gogiin baatii tokkoof torbee sadii ergas hammi kun ciccitee booda bakka maakelaawii jedhamu bakka addaa nageessanii.
Then while I was still nursing my wounds, and they took me back to a place called Maikalawi.
Achi erga nageessanii booda luka madaa kiyya watiin nafannifamii huukii wayi kan fannifameeru jira isatti nafannisanii madaa kiyya piinsaatiin harkisaa turanii.
Then they held me up with the
huukii.
They held me up with a hook, and then they were sort of they were pulling my wounds with strings. So it's a form of torture.
Commissioner yeroo sana Commander Girma Kaasati am dhaabate kan gochaa ture yeroo sana amma commissioner ta'e jira.
Police commissioner.
Girma Kaasa.
His name is Girma Kaasa.
Namoonni baay'een namoota gara 12 faana jiru tiimii kan inni hoogganu jechuudha.
There were about 12 others as part of his team who were involved in that act.
Akkasiin baatii 8 torbii sadii achi ergana tursiisanii booda.
I was kept there for 8 months and 3 weeks.
Gara Qaalitti nageessanii.
And then they took me to the Qaalitti prison.
Hamma kana mana murtiitti iyaanne baatii 8 torbee sadii
booda. So while this was happening, there was no court proceedings.
Achi booda maakelaawii Qaalitti ergan deemee maakelaawii fixee gara waggaa lamaa fi ji'a sadii ammas mana addaa keessan ture mana dukkanaa.
Then I was kept for about 2 years and 3 months in a separate dark cell.
akkasiin mana adda addaa na jijjiiraa waggaa 12
They kept changing me to different cells.
waggaa 12 akkasiin ture jechuudha.
That's sort of how I spent the last 12 years.
Achi mana murtii raagaa tokko malee waa tokko malee murtii umurii natti murteessanii.
Without any evidence, without any proper investigation, then then I was sentenced to life.
Akkasii waggaa 12 natti tureetiin hin ba'e jechuudha.
So I was just recently released after 12 years.
What did they accuse you of?
Maalin simatan?
Miseensa adda bilisummaa Oromootiin aan jedhanii.
I was accused of being a member of the Oromo Liberation Front.
Ani garuu gaaf tokko militarii illee hin joofne barataan ture, siviiliin ture.
I was a student, I was a civilian, I never took a military training, I was not part of the organization.
Yes, kan baay'ee galatooma.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's a typical story of my father and so many people. I don't know if you guys want to say anything or somebody else. Any question? You guys have seen them?
Yeah, I'm not going to very much talk about the Gada system. I just want to talk about the word respect. The word respect actually means to see again. And thank you very much. For a very long time, we wanted as Oromos, as a nation, as a people, we wanted to be seen again. It took a very long time for the Americans to see us again. And I want to say thank you for being willing to see us again. Because that's what we consider respect, is to see again. I want to just give you an idea of the problem of the Oromo in Ethiopia. In short, Oromo is the problem of Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is the problem of Oromo. Ethiopia as a project cannot accommodate Oromo. It's never created to accommodate Oromo. That's why Ethiopia needs army all the time. They can only do it with a military force. If this doesn't stop, I think it will be a big problem for the region, and not just for the Oromo. If Ethiopia is willing to accommodate Oromo, I think this country could contribute to peace. If the Ethiopia project wants to continue the same way it has been structured, the problem, the relationship between the Oromo and Ethiopia is really cultural difference. Oromo has got a culture that many has witnessed to be democratic. The Ethiopia project cannot accommodate democratic system. That's why it has to always depend on repressive institutions like the police, the army, and the rulers are not at all willing to change. And unless Ethiopia changes this structure that excludes one of its biggest nationality, then we are in for trouble and for a long time to come.
What does it mean to you now that the Prime Minister is Oromo? Is that
It doesn't really matter.
no?
The individual Prime Minister being Oromo is not going to be a solution for a structural problem.
But let me ask you this, what about the initiatives that he's put into place that are a
Oh.
down payment? He's not finished. Are you encouraged by that?
We are amazed, but we paid over 10,000 lives of our children to bring this Prime Minister to office. And I don't think they are, both the West and the rest and our leaders themselves did not come to the appreciation of this structural cultural difference. What Oromo wants is to be included. And to include Oromo, you can't have Ethiopia the way it has arrived. Ethiopia has to be willing to restructure itself to accommodate Oromos. Up to now, they've been using force, and they have continued to use force.
What do you mean by restructure? In what way?
This is a big project, and if we get into that, I would need the whole, and everybody wants to speak. But I know what I mean by Ethiopia has to.
Do you all think there needs to be an accountability for those who committed these terrible crimes, torturers? You mentioned the name of a guy that I presumably is still there, right? Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, it's part of it, but a very minor part of it, because our friend here is not the only one.
No, I know. But I mean, are there lists of the people who have committed these crimes that, that you provided testimony, even among yourselves, so you have a body of papers where it says, this person did this person, this person, and here's who the victims were.
We're working on that project. Yeah, we are, and we are actually working with the Freedom and Justice Society who is working on it. But for the sake of time, there are other people.
It's not really about rewarding or making up for the damage. We're talking about what should the new Ethiopia look like. Now everybody, expectation is raised now. We Oromos, we're expecting something different. The old Ethiopia cannot continue. But nobody is discussing about that, and that's the message we want to leave with you, because the problem is basically structural. We have different cultures, and we want to be Oromos and Ethiopians. Ethiopia doesn't allow that. The way we know Ethiopia, it doesn't allow you to be Oromo and to be Ethiopian. It doesn't. And I can prove it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think there is that. But I think the Prime Minister also have to be very careful in walking a fine line between peace and reconciliation, which is very important in the short term, justice and accountability in the long term. And corruption is a culture in this country. From the police officer to the minister and everyone in between, there is a massive corruption. And I think unless there is accountability, unless there is incentive, people will not respect the rule of law. I think Congress has a lot of tools, including the Magnitsky Act and many others. And we know that corrupt government officials from the previous administration, from the current administrations, are fearful of losing their privilege to travel to the U.S. to send their kids to good American schools. I think Congress should continue to nudge this government, this young administration, in the direction of accountability and hopefully long-term justice, including for people like Kafialo. And I think we can go a long way along that road, in addition to institutional support in other sectors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the grievance a lot, so I'll give you guys just a few minutes and then
mic?
That's the new mic.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, and thank you. I wish we could stay longer. We do have another meeting with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the Foreign Minister. But we've had a very good set of meetings here today. We met with the Speaker, pardon me. We've met with, obviously, the Prime Minister, and that was a good exchange. We thanked him, frankly, for releasing the prisoners. We've emphasized that we think this is just the beginning, and it really, I think all of us have to manage our expectations. because if people get disillusioned over a short-term period of time, that could lead to a lot of very nasty consequences. So managing them in a very disciplined way, I think, and having been through what all of you, and most of you, but I think all of you have been through, I mean, you know how hard it is to stand up for human rights, stand up for, you know, your neighbors, and then to pay a price, you know, like you did, and like so many of you did, for doing nothing that was wrong. We will, you know, in our HRES 128, the final provision of it was for the U.S. government, because we direct things to the government of Ethiopia. We direct what we hope will happen to the opposition, that there be no incitement to violence or violence itself. And then we have our own set of recommendations to our own U.S. government, which was unanimously adopted by the House. And the final one in that list is Magnitsky. I was the House sponsor of the Global Magnitsky Act. I said earlier in one of our meetings that the template for that came from a bill that I wrote in 2004 called the Belarus Democracy Act. That became law, and it works. When you deny visas and say you can't do business in the United States, and especially when you get our European partners to go along and have similar lists, it ostracizes those who want to send their kids or go to Disneyland or go to Disney World or send their kids because now there's a penalty personally that you're going to pay. We tried to do it for Ethiopia. I introduced the Ethiopia Human Rights Act. You know where I got the idea? When I left President Meles, I got on the plane and I had just done the Belarus Democracy Act, and I turned to Greg Simpkins, who was my chief of staff, and said, we need to do this for Ethiopia. And we began writing the bill right then and there, and the powerful lobbyists in Washington killed our bill. We did not get that bill passed because of K Street. And they've done that before on human rights legislation. They're doing it right now on some of the others I'm working on. But they did it there. Had we got that passed then, we would have been doing a similar Magnitsky focus on the bad apples, like the guy that hurt you so badly or the others, with names. And after a while, it does have an impact because they say, oh, I'm being held personally responsible. So again, what do? It's in our accountability piece on HRES 128, and we're going to follow through on that. I think timing is important, and I think that was conveyed very eloquently just a moment ago. You know, you got to get over the hump and make sure that the peace and the reconciliation goes forward, and make sure systemically there's foundation there, so there's no going back. That's why we told the Speaker we were grateful that she issued an amnesty, or the Congress did, so that you don't go and rearrest everybody on the old charges. Hopefully that will hold. But there has to be accountability. Obviously, we're hoping that the Prime Minister takes the lead on that. And I think there is a time now for everyone to give a benefit of the doubt, I think, and say, let's make this work. This is a pivot point. I read his speech, and you heard it probably live, back in early April. And when he talked about opposition people, political and religious, not being enemies, but being blessings and friends, that's the language of real change. I hope he can carry it through. I think he's a very energetic man. I think he's building a good staff. But let me just say one thing he said about the diaspora, and you personally, and a few of the others that are in this room have been magnificent in keeping us eye on the ball. You know, you drink from a fire hose when you're in Congress. There's an issue du jour, there's 15 of them, you know, and you got to say, what do I do? Where do I mean, we do have committees, so we have division of labor, and that's important, so we can focus and specialize. But when the diaspora comes in and they lay it out and they tell us what's really going on, because I get, and the Meles deal to me was, you know, I had been working on Ethiopia before that, but that was just too much. When I spent 2 hours with him, and you know, the people that were in the opposition when we left, who we had met with, we got in their cars, he had his agents follow them and us as we went around. It was just, here's what they deal with every single day. So we're going to keep pushing. You know, the ambassador can tell you there's a number of humanitarian initiatives, like the internally displaced. They need help. But we got to get Ethiopia, play our part. The leadership will finally come from Ethiopians themselves, first, second, and third, but we could play a very strong supporting role. But I loved what he said about the diaspora. You got to know that. You saw it in the speech, that they're the ambassadors for Ethiopia. And they have been. You know, very, very eloquent in their presentations, fact-based. I mean, it's really helped us to do our job like nothing else. And we've had countries, I got to tell you, I won't name them, where some people who are in the opposition use a great deal of hyperbole and exaggeration to tell us what's going on and what's wrong. You got to have actionable information that you can go to the bank with and know it's true, and it's true. And so thank you for what you've done there as well.
Well, let me just thank all of you for coming out today. And I'm sorry that we didn't have more time to hear from you. There's a lot of people that are here. But I hope that you don't see this as just a one-shot deal. Both the chairman and I, this is what we work on in the House all the time. And you can communicate with us. You can let us know what your concerns are. And then what we've asked throughout the day is for your specific recommendations. We've come here encouraged. What we've seen that's taken place in 120 days, we know that much more needs to be done, but see it as a very strong start. And from the U.S. perspective, want to do what we can to continue to push in this direction. And so, again, I just thank you so much for taking your time out. And again, don't view this as you came out, and even though you didn't have a chance to speak, we hope that this is an ongoing relationship, and please let us know your thoughts, your concerns. I come from Los Angeles. We have a large diaspora community there, and there's even a part of the city in Los Angeles that's called Little Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is on my mind continually. Thank you so much.
Ambassador.
Thank you. Well, thank you all very much. I've certainly learned a lot in a very short period of time, and I think my team have as well, and we'll take that away. A couple of assurances I think I want to give you. One is that we are very focused, as the chairman said, on the humanitarian situation, the particular focus on the IDPs. We did recently, within the last couple of weeks, announce $170 million in supplemental humanitarian assistance focused solely on IDPs, and we engage very regularly to make sure that the government is encouraged to play its fullest role in both attending to immediate humanitarian concerns, but also addressing root causes and facilitating dignified voluntary returns when they're appropriate. More generally, a second assurance that we are seized by the opportunity of this moment. We are committed to supporting it as fully as possible, as you've given exactly the things we're focusing on in terms of laying the groundwork, the conditions for civil society and others to participate in a process by which free and fair and credible elections can take place in a very short window. It's an extraordinarily challenging moment to deliver on an extraordinarily inspiring vision. But we are committed to bringing to bear whatever resources and support we can to make this moment a durable one and a successful one. In that regard, my last comment is simply a plea. You guys have all earned your cynicism. You guys have all earned your anger. I would just ask that you recognize the enormity of this moment. We're talking about opportunities that I don't think any of us imagined would be possible 6 months ago. I ask you to support this moment. I ask you to support this trajectory. I ask you to support your government. They need you. They need you to make this a success. We will do what we can, but this isn't about America making Ethiopia successful. This is about Ethiopians making Ethiopia successful, and especially those of you who are young, who contributed to the struggle, who contributed to the disruption that resulted in this moment. Shift your focus. Become constructive as possible, become as contributory as possible to the future you want to see. Thank you.
Sorry, everyone, that we couldn't have enough time to engage, but as Congresswoman Bass alluded to, don't view this as a one-shot deal. There is definitely more to come, and more to come, especially from you. The conversation and the dialogue has to begin here. You control your destiny, and we, as everyone else had put it, we are here as a support system. When you need us, reach out, and when we need you, we'll reach out as well. But to show our gratitude for your work and for your tireless effort, it is in our cultural tradition to honor our distinguished guests We have prepared small gifts, and will be.
So in our tradition, the Gaaddisa is the head above everything. So we baked and brought them from far away. They don't understand the answer. So I'm going to speak in my language. It doesn't understand English. I'm going to speak in my language and ask him, and then to present you this gift. Ambassador Reiner, I apologize. I did not, prepare an introduction about you. I'll make it better next time. And the gift is also for only 2 people, but apology for that one. Bagada, I'm asking him to bless you guys. It's Bagada is has. So it's dura isanif kenitani. Isanif kandura kenitani. Kuni surre dafi. Koti da gabi na moto fistan. Hata mo adabatan. Have a seat, please. Yep. يجلبسان ركاني. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Kano.
A little blanket. This is very cold, so they brought you a blanket. We want to make sure that Finfinne is the Oromo name for Addis Ababa.
It is. May kids be blessed. May you be blessed. May your kids be aware above you. Be
You kids do much better than you have.
I always hope.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Kaisanimu. Okay. Siti. Ona. Kunoti. See when. Adasike, the mother of Sinke. Sinke is the highest institution for a woman. It's very similar to. This is yours, and then Kono Kaisa, and then there's, and then I see the Konoti.
Kamisi na.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's a dress you wear under. Okay, Abagada will encounter Nathan is Surakana. So he's just this is a very respectful man. It's the highest honor when you marry woman. The son-in-law brings it, and the same thing for the mother-in-law. So this is it. It's our way of saying thank you. Thank you, Abagada. May you guys be okay. There's only one thing missing, which we felt. It's supposed to bring a steak. It's a very respected steak. Next time I'm bring it. Okay, Galatoma. Thank you so much. All right, thank you everybody. We'll wrap it up.